Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 5:32. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I think, is Caitlin on?
Caitlin is on.
So all of our board members are here.
Okay.
Chris, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public comment? Not seeing any. I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss a student matter and a personnel matter where premature public knowledge could place the individual.
Excuse me. Sorry. Was trying to get on for public comment. We have our hands raised.
Is that all right to go back, guys?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, please. Please identify yourself, and then you may go ahead.
Jeremy Haskins, Bells Falls.
So I'll get it back up there.
Okay.
And Mr. Haas.
You had a public comment?
Yeah, actually, we want to know how we can get on an executive session meeting scheduled for our family for lack of support on bullying matters that's been existing for over a year with no discipline to follow up on.
Okay, that's not part of a communication public comment, but if you will send your email to the superintendent, he can let you know how to request that, or to or to me as the chair of the board. You can.
He's going to be out sick, right? So who can we deal with this?
You may send it to me as the chair of the board, Priscilla Lambert at wnesu.net. Yes.
Com.
Okay.
Com.
.com. It's .com. It'll probably come up that way if you start putting it in anyway.
Mr. Haskins, I will send you her email just so you have it. So I'll send you that tonight after the board meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
We're just disappointed with Bellows Falls leadership at the middle school and the support for those kids on keeping track and making sure it's a safe community. And our kids have been victimized multiple times, and we're not seeing the support there. So to give you a little idea of what we got to deal with. Currently, we have a son that cannot be at school due to lack of support.
Okay.
But that's okay with Mr. Haas.
Okay, if you will send that request to us. All right. Was there anything else you wanted to say, Mr. Haskins, or are you all set?
I'm all set.
Okay. I see another hand up.
That's his wife, Sue.
Pardon?
That's Sue Haskins, his wife.
Okay, so, and she's all right too? Okay, thank you. So I would entertain a motion at this time to enter into executive session to discuss a student and a personal matter where premature public knowledge could place the individual and or the board at a disadvantage. I would invite the superintendent and the parent and representative. Do you want to make the motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Jiggs made that motion.
Take me a
Jim
minute.
McAuliffe, motion to enter into executive session at 5:37 to discuss a student matter and a personnel matter where premature public knowledge could place the individuals and or board at a disadvantage, and invite the administration and the superintendent, and the parent representative. Jim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
You have Caitlin.
Bill, sorry. And Caitlin?
Aye.
So we will enter into executive session. Okay, we're back in at 6:44 with no action to be taken. All right. Andy, you were going to just quickly, the CES kitchen upgrade.
Oh, yeah, so we, one of the projects we were looking to do through the, using some ESSER funds was to upgrade the Central Elementary School kitchen. It'll bring the proposal that we have concept approval on, will bring the kitchen up to modernization and allow us to prepare additional meals for students in a timely manner. And so for us to proceed further, Harley's in the process of getting quotes and everything, but we do need approval from the board to move forward with that. We believe that the project will not exceed $300,000 total. But one of the things for us to get project approval is we need board minutes that do express a motion in support of that, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the renovation of the Central Elementary School kitchen using ESSER funds not to exceed $300,000.
And if it goes over, I'll come back.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Any discussion?
Who's Harley?
We've been,
Harley
Harley's
runs
the
the
kitchen.
food service.
Okay, thank you, Harley.
We've been discussing this, so if there's any other questions, Caitlin, are you all set or to vote, or do you have a question?
I feel like it might be a lot to catch up, so I'm all set to vote. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody else ready?
Yes.
Okay, Bill?
Yes.
Caitlin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Pardon? Okay, Bill, I already called on Jim
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes.
And I vote yes. So you're all set with
Thank you very
putting that
much.
in for
And
finalizing
then,
that.
and just so the board is aware, we're in the process of moving forward on a lot of the other projects that have to do with Rockingham schools. So I'll try and bring them in a boom, so that, big in clumps, so it's not individual of different ones, so.
Okay, thank you. We really appreciate that, Andy. All right, so I've handed out the proposed expenditure book that Jim did for us. I think, here's my one that has notes on the back. He wanted us particularly to look at page 37 and see that the line 46 had decreased from, it's 41.37% of the student body cost there, so it's gone down by around 100,000.
Did you say 37?
Page 37.
That's the last page.
Are you here for this?
Yeah.
This is the allocation of the SU expenses.
Right. And that has gone down on this one. And
It shows going down by about, $85,000.
right, and if the SU budget goes down even more, then that will drop some more, so we should be aware of that. Transportation and sped is a set percentage, and the other, he said, was based on the student body,
Correct. So
so.
one of the things we've been working on with him at the SU is getting the student assessments correct. And there was, as far as we can tell, the previous business managers, administration
Who knows that?
did not know and did not ask
Yeah.
what student should be counted in the assessment. And so for, this has been sorted out, and the net effect of that was that some Westminster and Athens-Grafton students were actually not being counted
Okay.
because they were in grade 7 and 8 and they were being tuitioned, and previous administration didn't know what to do with that. Well, they have to be counted because their students are students, and we provide, the SU provides special ed services to students even if they're tuition. So that probably helped Rockingham to some extent,
Okay.
because the percentage of students that the other towns have probably went up a little bit. The other thing that's happened since we last met with the SU and we made those series of cuts. And I wasn't, at the time we had the SU meeting, I really wasn't sure where that was gonna land. But it, actually, the SU budget is, be careful, because I see Sue Small here is watching, but
I didn't bring my,
I have it.
Yeah.
But in any case, the SU budget is, assessments are much lower now with the series of cuts that we made. And in fact, Rockingham's assessment, I believe, is right at this point going down.
that's what it looks like on that page 37.
Yes, right. And the
Page
other,
34, by the way,
Thank you.
has the
yeah,
the kiddos, the counts of the kiddos,
Right.
which is more complicated.
it's very complicated.
And,
But we went through it with them and got them straightened out. But, and also, it appears that we can purchase school buses with the ESSER money, which now there's some of that is sprung loose.
So that'll help.
So we don't have to put that into the SU budget either, so that is
So that'll help too.
another thing too. So
Every little bit helps.
we're gonna meet Wednesday again and kind of revisit the positions and stuff, but that's looking pretty good, and it's helpful to us here, obviously.
Thank you, Chris, appreciate that.
Could I ask, just because Laura has
Yeah.
been here and waited,
I
if she's
know
got
she
anything she
has.
needs to want to talk about with her budget, or any questions you might have just about Saxon's River in general? Don't mean to put you on the spot, Laura, I just know you've waited so long, I apologize for that.
And the other thing, unfortunately, is we didn't get this package.
No, I understand that, so I don't know,
He handed it to me Friday afternoon,
Right.
and so, there's no way of getting
No, it's
this.
not.
I didn't know if Laura had any,
It's your fault, it's your fault.
I didn't know if Laura had any proposals or anything, I know we have not had a chance to touch base, and you've been waiting for things, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
but this way you have a paper copy. Laura, your staff is staying the same, right?
Yes.
How many teachers?
Classroom teachers, 5.
5 classroom.
And we have 4 specialists at 0.4 each. So they're there 2 days a week. 1 special educator, 3 interventionists,
I'm sorry, 3 interventionists?
all paid from grants. 1 school counselor, 1 nurse, and 0.6 school-based clinician. We do have some 504 paras.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear after the nurse.
0.6 school-based clinician.
6, okay.
Um,
Now, is the school-based, is that at a regular?
Part is, we split it with Grafton, and it's a one full-time FTE. We have them 3 days a week, Grafton has them 2 days a week, and part of the cost is also shared with special ed. So I have X amount of dollars in the budget.
That's
and-
Doug Francis, is that?
Correct.
Yes, correct. Mhm. I anticipate that being the same, although I have not talked with Stacy yet, Stacy Alexander.
Could you, Laura, there's a para plus, Thomas Alexander.
Yes.
And what is his assignment?
She, so we have three 504 paraprofessionals.
Okay,
Alex's assignment is a one-to-one specifically.
so that's a one-to-one 504.
Correct.
And then the other two, Megan and Kelly, are also
504.
504s.
Mhm.
Are they one-on-ones?
No, they move between classrooms to serve our 504 students according to their plans.
Now, are those paras through the WNESU budget as paras, or because they're regular ed paras, they're through
They're through
Through
us.
the school.
They're
Rockingham?
They're
Right.
us, yeah.
The special ed paras we have are through,
Through the WNESU?
Yes.
Okay. And how many of those do you have, just?
anticipate having or currently have.
Hope to.
Let's do anticipate.
I believe just one.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
One, anticipate one.
For a sped para that would be
Oh.
through
We
the
currently have
WNESU.
two, but I anticipate one.
I see, okay.
Okay. You currently have two, okay, so you think that's going down, okay. That's good. All right. The behavioral interventionist is grants? That's it? Is that or not?
Is,
I don't have a BI.
Stacy, is there a BI? Oh, Stacy, we lost her, sorry. I'll have to look into that, I don't, so what page is that on?
I have written down 3 interventionists.
Correct.
Well, hang
Well, there's-
on, be hot.
Oh.
So we, unfortunately, sometimes those terminologies get intermixed. So interventionists are academic interventionists. So they are
Academic ones,
teachers
okay.
who are providing Title I or that level of intervention. They might be paid out of Title or they might be paid out of ESSER.
Okay, so they're all grants.
So that's what an interventionist, a BI is someone that we typically would get through, like HCRS or something like that, who's a one-on-one for a student who has difficulty regulating their behavior.
If you look through
That's
this,
my
this
preference.
sheet,
Yeah, it's
Bill,
in here.
this is your first rodeo, but
Yes.
the listing of staff and the way he's listed is really helpful. I mean, spend some time with this thing and have questions, but we showed 2 federal employees. Kara Curtis is a Title I
She is.
teacher, and Loretta Rose is listed as an interventionalist. Is that?
Correct. She was locally funded, and this year she is funded through ESSER.
So he's got it as federal, though.
That's,
Andy.
ESSER is federal grant.
Well, then what about, then under WNESU, we have Denise Randall.
Not at Saxon's River, perhaps at Central. I don't know.
And Don Bazin?
Yes, she is at Saxon's River. She is ESSER as well.
Okay,
So,
so
the other
so
page-
Denise Randall is not at,
She is not.
no, okay. And so both Don and Loretta are interventionalists, and they're ESSER.
Yes.
I was looking at the Saxons River budget is up about 100,000. And I wanted to, since we have Laura here, I think, is Central the first one?
Central's the first one on page 8. Saxon's River's on page 17,
Saxons River.
is the name employees.
No, I wanted to get Here it is.
So I believe page 16 is the final of Saxon's River.
Yeah.
And that's the function title, budget summary.
So the big increases are health insurance. Mostly.
Health insurance is
Which is right on that front.
85,000.
Yeah, that's alone. And,
The OTPT services are,
And that could also be because when we did have some openings, or, you know, as people changed, they changed their benefits plan, but also.
Right, yeah.
So,
yeah.
no, that's right.
So in that, the salary above there, the 23,902, psychological services, that is who?
that would be, the portion that she pays for,
Sky.
not Sky.
I don't have the
no.
document you're looking at. I don't have that document,
Yeah.
access to that.
I'm gonna give you mine in a
document.
second here. So you're talking about line 8 that says OTPT related
OTPT
to.
related
So he's
service.
combining, that's the psych services and.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what-
I'm sorry.
So
Yeah,
that's
No, that's
page.
okay, we just don't, we don't.
But
we
they're
haven't
not
paid
special ed,
attention.
they're regular ed.
No,
Andy, which page are you on?
Page 10.
Page 10?
I'll have to get you an exact answer of who's combined in there, but I believe that is the Doug Francis portion.
That is precisely Doug Francis,
Yeah, so,
the 23.
but so what Jim did was he took some lines and kind of blended them together. So what gets out there is OTPT related services. Probably should just say related service, regular ed related services, but, so it's not a special ed cost, it's a regular ed cost.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the label is a little bit confusing, because we're used to thinking.
I agree.
PT as a special ed
Yes.
function.
But we had that conversation at another board meeting, so that's why it's in my head that
And
way.
you'll probably have it again with us,
I'm
too.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it definitely shows on the list as a psychologist.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, most of it is in insurance.
It sure is, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, the summary page on page 16 gives the psychological services is up 27,000.
Well, that would make sense, because there's 23,902 right there.
And salary, and then you have a little bit of health benefits.
Salary
Yeah,
plus the
health benefits.
insurance and the benefits and
Yeah.
stuff. Which would put it up.
I think that position's split around a third. So I believe Laura's, Saxon's River's covering about a third, and Grafton covers a third, and then Student Services covers a third of that salary. I think it may not be 100, it may not be 33, but it's pretty close that way.
Yep. And on the last page of that Saxon's River section, you can see the technology. Well, there's no budget for,
What page are you on?
well, I don't.
The technology is being moved to the
Move to the
SU.
SU,
Right.
and I'm just making note of that. That's why it's
That's
zeroed
why it's
out.
Right.
And all the tech for the whole district is in the SU.
In other words, it's not going away, it's just remanifesting itself.
Yeah, which means
And there's a
actually,
big expenditure for the computers in the.
Right, because we're at the rotation of having to replace the Chromebooks, yeah.
which means when you look at the bottom line of the 110, and you think the technology's taken out, it's up, we're gonna get that back through the assessment.
Yeah.
So that'll put it overall maybe up from that standpoint,
Well, there are a lot of things that have a lot of little increases.
yeah.
Well, you certainly can understand the oil and electric, but the property liability insurance, that shows up for the first time. I don't know if that's another one that's being moved from I don't know about the other.
I think Jim would have to answer to that, I don't.
I can only give you ancient history on that. But
Yeah, it seems to be coming up in all of the budgets. The other one is the rental and lease.
So that's the copiers?
Oh, that's the copy.
Yeah, see, that's one of those funky titles, because I think when, I remember the principals asking, I'm not leasing anything, what is that? And we found out that that's actually where the printers hit, so.
Well, jot down the property casualty.
I am, I'm writing that.
It's for all of the schools, so it's showing.
Not that I'm trying to chase her out of here, but I'm also just looking at the time and
No, I
Laura's
think-
time,
I
and
think-
so I don't know if there's anything
I think everything's fine.
more with Laura, with
I'm
Saxon
so
River.
sorry, Laura, for that length of time on you.
You didn't have to sit through it, though.
I heard.
she picked up the vibe from where she was.
So, I do, can we just talk about Fellows Falls, just because I did have a brief conversation with Henry.
The middle school.
I'm sorry, pardon me, I meant the middle school.
Middle school.
Thank you.
I'd like to, I haven't dug through this real deeply, but in looking at scheduling, would really like to ask Jim to kind of look at adding potentially a foreign language teacher, and or like a family consumer science, like a home ec. We've got a whole room that's devoted to that we haven't been using, but I think it would really be an excellent elective offering to be able to provide students with some, provide some scheduling options, but I think our students, we don't have a lot of offerings for them in what we're offering. I know, Chris, you probably have some history there on where we've been, but
What I would like for our next meeting for the middle school, I think, Priscilla, you might have it on this item here, but
Teacher schedules.
is I'd like to see the current
yep,
schedule for the middle school, okay? When we had our little tour, it's dangerous to have us tour, because we
yeah, no,
learn things.
there's nothing dangerous about it.
But we
You have a lens.
went into the calculus, I mean, the algebra
yeah.
class. And Sue told me at the previous meeting that we had 20 kids in the calculus class. So we go in and there's 5 kids there.
Right.
So I said, well, what, is everybody sick? She said, well, there's a few kids out and we've split the group, okay? So I mean, so I think
There have been some iterations of the schedule.
we
yeah.
need to see the schedule because we want to get to the, what's the student load for each teacher and how are we organized?
But I'd really like to open up the conversation about, foreign languages or world languages and possible, as we're looking at other things, with health and art, but the home economics or family consumer science, I think would be, would add a lot of richness to what we have to offer students.
I'll tell you what my thought is I agree with you on the home economics. I think if we have high school foreign language teachers, then and you have somebody that really is capable of doing that, I would move that kid for a period or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to have an in-house foreign language student here at the middle school, I just don't think the numbers are there.
And what I'd want to do is,
But I don't
poll
want
students of how many students might even be interested, so. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, we had explored that one year, and maybe 2 years ago, and decided that we would really like the foreign language added in. as a teacher, but we weren't sure that we could sustain the, a full-time one for the population. Also looking at the history of it, where we had them coming down from the high school to here, and for, the first block of the day, so as to present that in an open session. But then it went to trying to do it by computers, and then that did not work at all.
Challenge for
So-
foreign language, especially that young age, but
So,
I think
but-
Bill had a question.
Right, but
Priscilla.
the family and consumer science would be the preference. Before I let Bill, we were supposed to have schedules for tonight and the subjects and the attendance percentages. I did not get those.
I had asked the principals for it, and I think that, with Carrie Kennedy being out, and I think I did send the request right after you sent it to me. I just don't think we had enough time to get it all together, so.
We have basically the numbers that are in each of the classrooms at the two elementaries. We just don't have the class schedules as far as teacher and how many students per period they have in their classrooms. We don't have those.
At the elementary level?
At the
At
middle
the
school.
middle school, yeah. So I will work to get you that this week.
Okay.
And it will have to, as I say, I'll be indisposed the next couple of days, but I'll ask Henry to get me something, and so I can kind of, they do have a schedule and whatnot, so it's not as easy pulling it off Power School, that's the problem. That would be the easy way to do it.
Okay, in looking at the procedures that are with the class size policy, and I wanted to run that by you tonight too, with that, and looking at schedules and subjects. The K2, we have a minimum average of 14 and an optimal average range of 14 to 19 in our policy manual. For 3 to 4, we have a minimum average of 15 and an optimal average range of 15 to 20. Grades 5, 6, we have 15 minimum and an optimal average range of 15 to 23. 7 and 8, except for PE, we have 20 and 20 to 24, whereas PE has 20 minimum and an optimal of 20 to 30. Do you see that as being a good range, Andy? Ask you, and then see how the board members feel as well.
Are you asking about the policy, or are you asking
It's in the
about?
policy, and it's coming up at the policy meeting again, so I kind of wanted to know how the board felt about the ranges that were in there and how Andy felt about the ranges
Well, I
that were
can
in
tell you
there.
about the history of that policy, which was written when Joanna Harpster was superintendent and I was assistant superintendent, and it was a required policy because the state
It is required.
required that schools establish those. And what I can tell you is that you're leaving out a few words. It's taken on average.
Right, I said average, optimal average range.
Yeah.
And the
So-
minimum average.
So what that's supposed to do is allow, occasionally you have one that spikes up a little bit, but on average, most of the classes are. So unfortunately, it's a policy without much in the way of teeth, because frankly, most school boards did not want to create new classes just because they happen to have, a couple of extra students in a.
I actually worked in a school district that had when there is X number of students, we will add another teacher. Like, that was binding, so.
For example,
It's not that way.
the
No, I know.
14 to 19 for grade 2, right now, we do have one class that's 19, the others are less. So we are definitely in the optimal average range. In looking at all of our classrooms, we are fitting into all of these optimal
I think so,
average
I think we
range.
are.
So if the board's comfortable with it, it's just I wanted some feedback from
Yeah. And I
because
think
we
it'd
are
be good.
looking at it.
Sorry, I think it'd be good to also check in with the other boards so that we're not having this complete, I believe they are, everyone's adopted a very similar policy, but
Very similar,
we don't want,
very similar.
huge swings in
Right.
classes. I mean,
But that's why at the policy meeting, it's listed as preliminary discussion, so that if the other ones have not had a chance to discuss it at their boards, they can go back and then come back. Because I wasn't comfortable deciding for them or putting it out there for just a few members deciding, so. But does that look okay as far as for Rockingham?
so,
Are you guys comfortable with that? Do you have any other suggestions? Okay, so everybody's kind of okay with staying with that. I mean, that doesn't mean if you ended up with a class of 20 or 21, that you couldn't have that, because it would still
Right,
fit in
I
your
mean, under
average
that
range.
policy, for instance, one of the districts actually had smaller classes.
One of them does have a lot smaller.
And that was their choice, so, you can opt to have a
Right,
smaller one if you want, because the board's decision is the board's decision.
right. Okay,
So,
yeah,
I wanted to bring up a
yes,
point
go ahead.
relative to what Andy was talking about, additional space here at the middle school. I was looking through the teachers here at the middle school, and yes, we do not offer home economics, or what used to be called home economics, or foreign language. If we have foreign language in the high school, if I could make a suggestion, what would be very beneficial is having, let's say, a Spanish club, French club, or a German club here in the middle school to start growing future language students for the high school. If you're interested, or if the board's interested, I can help with that, because that was my job. I was a Spanish linguist in the Navy, and one of the reasons I was a Spanish linguist in the Navy is because I wanted work after the Navy. I was an ESL teacher, a Spanish teacher. I can't stress enough, especially with the current demographics in our country changing rapidly, the importance of another language, notably Spanish. And I think we're missing an opportunity if we don't at least expose middle school students to another language on a voluntary basis through a club that would meet once a week and expose them gradually to language, culture. And that study can go anywhere from food to sports to music, not just language. And there's a lot of ways to reach students, and I think it would be an excellent way to prep students for further study in high school, where they're in a regimented language class. This way we kind of entice them with a carrot instead of a stick, you know what I mean? But if the board's willing, or Andy, whenever you're ready, if you want to just brainstorm some ideas, I'll be willing to help.
thank you. I'll connect you with Sarah Doran, who's our after-school programming, because I think that'd be a very natural way to, and how she has it structured, because a lot of the students at the middle school, they don't come every day, so they come for a specific club.
Right.
And so that
That's
might be
what
a way
this
to
would be.
really hook some kids in there, so, thank you for that.
And do some cultural activities, maybe a different cultural activity
Well,
for different countries. through
I
the-
did this in third grade, we made gazpacho, and so they tasted gazpacho.
Yeah.
We learned the steps in salsa. There's a lot of things you can do that engage younger people.
And within Spanish, there's so many different cultures, and it's like, so, I used to have students who, pupusa and burrito and like empanadas, they all are very similar, but they're different because of the different cultures, so thank you. Yeah, I will, I just emailed her, so.
Okay, cool.
So with family and consumer science, I don't know what we've got for supplies.
I'd have to look at it, because that would also
You're
come
gonna
along
have
with
to
a supply line
take a look
also,
at
yeah.
that.
It'd be great to have, like, a tech class too, but number one.
You could
that's-
marry the Spanish club with home ec, because it would involve cooking. I mean, there's a lot of ways of making connections that the students will be brought in through.
Yeah.
And home ec,
Yeah, but yeah, we definitely need to, I had a preliminary conversation with him, I haven't had an in-depth one, and I knew we were coming tonight, so I just wanted to at least put it on the radar, so.
Yeah.
And with our
We can take a
teacher
look at it.
retiring that's been in that area, it's a good time to expand that to do a thing with consumer science.
Yeah, maybe coupling it with a health position, but also, you know, or as a new offering, just, and having spent some time in the building these last few weeks, you see where the needs, you start to see that, I think would be beneficial for students.
There's still a health position in the budget, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
No,
But
very
if
important that
it's-
we're
If it's
offering, making that
split
offering.
half and half,
Yeah.
even, and, you know, it wouldn't
So-
be too much of an increase, but it would, you know, it would fit in, and maybe, depends on who you have for applicants too.
True.
Are there other questions about the budget? Do we just, or do we need just some time?
I'm gonna go over it again, I didn't have it.
And this is just version 2 too, so.
Well, and I think this is version 2 because Jim's been working on it.
Yeah.
You know, he has his system that he's crunching numbers. We'll be meeting with the administrators, Rockingham administrators, next Monday to really dive into this a little bit more. So they haven't had a lot of blush at it, so.
Right. See where there might be a need for a little more, but where they could also cut something so as
Right.
to, you know. come
And like
up.
we're gonna maintain the restorative practices folks will continue to come out of the ESSER grant for another year. That's where the interventionist title gets kind of blended a little bit because,
Who is that
who is that? So
at the,
so
I've got a
Central,
list of,
okay, at Central, it, right now is Amy Rawlings.
okay, now she's listed as an interventionalist,
So
oh yeah,
that's where that title's gotten a little mixed up a little bit, so that's why I can clear it out for you.
so she's the,
She's the restorative practitioner.
And as the teachers, as the
Then Jake, we
teachers,
like to throw interventionist on the end of that, the restorative practice interventionist, so.
yeah,
and as the teachers learn more how to do that,
We're hoping, I mean, I think there may be justification for a few years to look at maintaining that and maybe in very specific areas of or schools type of thing, because we still have a need. You know, it might be something that could we, you know, could you support that with with a paraprofessional as opposed to a licensed teacher type of thing. So that's some things we're looking at, and that's the data we're collecting right now.
who is the
As
person
the
at the
name
middle
goes
school?
down.
So it's William McHugh
Yeah,
is the person at the middle school.
now these are full-time,
Full-time
Yes.
certified teachers.
so that's Central, that's the middle school, do you know what is?
So
Saxon's-
Saxon's River does not have a restorative practice
Okay.
full-time person, so we support them through SU with Carrie Newton and whatnot. And so they're using that line item, if you will, and that's the Loretta Rose position. That's why they have an additional academic person there, as opposed to having the responsive practice or restorative practice person.
now the Central has a position which is Health Office Associate?
So that's a position, it's actually an SU position. We brought them on because of COVID and all the extra work that was going on. We've maintained one health assistant that will be sunsetting at the end of this year, so it shouldn't still be in there. So if it was, that's something to note.
Okay, so that's gonna go away.
But that's an SU level position.
Right.
And you know, that position's kind of found itself at Central this year. We've found we have quite a few students who have high medical needs this year at Central. And we want to make sure we're meeting those needs.
A question about another thing altogether. So tuition for grades 7 and 8.
Tell me what page.
I don't know. It's on the third from the last. My version doesn't have pages.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
We're down.
Third from the
Yeah.
last.
So
Yeah,
I
page
just,
35.
Okay.
I hadn't had a chance to talk to Jim about that when we were talking about students, but I presume those are solid numbers with the reductions in Athens and Grand.
Yeah, we reached out to all the buildings and got the numbers from the students. So that's pretty tight on where we're anticipating.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have a good number, even if we don't like it.
It's about 6 kids, so it's,
The paid out, and that goes away this year, right?
The paid out, where you,
It's not on there, Andy.
I believe that, yes, that should happen this year, and that would be done this year, yeah.
now, according to this, there's 9. Oh, this is 2023.
Yeah, we don't.
This says there's 9, 7 from Athens and 2 from Grafton. Because the tuition rate is, what did we prove? Wasn't it around 20,000?
Our tuition rate is 17,000
17?
this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Grafton
the
passed
number that
theirs a
has to
little
come
higher.
from the schools, because they know where the kids are headed often.
So let me just,
Plus how many are in.
why are you doing this for me today?
I'm pretty sure ours is even 17,000.
We'll get to set it again.
Pardon?
We'll get to set it
Get to
again
set it
this
again.
winter.
Yeah.
Can we go home yet?
What about the
We
test
can, if
scores
that's,
here?
if the board members are comfortable with just taking this and going over it, and we've answered questions to everybody's, we definitely can.
Well, yeah, we need to, yeah.
Well, Andy sent out some assessment results
Well, when was that?
this week, Friday, I don't know, a few days ago.
I didn't see it.
And they,
This was from the fall, right?
It's a,
spring us back.
Well, we saw spring, but
no,
they
we
just
got,
took the fall.
Well, these were SBAC results.
yeah, we sent out
We sent out-
SBAC results.
For the fall?
SBAC
SBAC's
is
in the
given in the
spring.
spring.
Oh, in the spring, okay.
And so we just sent those numbers out to,
Yeah, we
we
got
did
those.
almost.
Yeah, they were out for a while, and they showed what we've been talking about and what's been in the press nationwide is that
That was it.
kids dropped off the
Right.
the
What were
table,
the tests
but
that they took in the fall here?
That's MAPS testing.
Okay.
So that's NWEA, which is Northwestern Educational
Do we
Association.
see those results?
Those are the ones that were presented, yeah, that we,
they're not the state ones, though. They're a district, they're a local assessment.
Local assessment.
They're a
Yeah.
local
and,
assessment.
and
Andy,
we're-
I did not get those.
I don't think I did either.
I don't remember seeing them, but
So I did, it's a little unfair because I've looked at them and others haven't, but Andy, my comment on those SBAC results would be, it would be, well, a couple of things. I don't know how much time you want to put into disaggregating them into subgroups at this point, since we're about to lose SBAC. But usually you disaggregate assessment results based on special ed, socioeconomics, but the other thing that would really, I think, have been useful would be to have the whole SU result, the combined SU result, along with the hours, so that you can just kind of.
We're trying to, because when we presented the SU, everyone said they just wanted Rockingham. So then we got Rockingham and SBAC, and so we'll unpack it some more. I mean, I was gonna have Deb here, I'd forgotten this was a budget meeting, I was gonna have Deb here to talk about her numbers, and so I excused her for tonight.
We can put it on for next time.
October 28th.
This was sent to you all on the 25th. It's a slide presentation, and it says 2019 versus 2022 SBAC.
Yeah, I got it right here.
And you commented back, Jiggs, you asked me a question
Okay.
regarding it.
Right. And you answered and said it was the spring. So yes, but that was October 28th or whatever that I
Well,
got.
but it was sent out on the 25th.
On the 25th, I'm sorry, you had said Friday, so that's why I was saying.
it went out a while
Yeah, but I
ago.
did, the one on the 25th I have.
Right. So,
Anyway,
what I'm hearing is you'd like it broken down a little more granular with taking out the socioeconomics and taking out the.
It's kind of what the statute says. And,
It's broken down, yeah.
but also, SU as a whole comparison is just a good one to have.
Yeah.
Along with our
Each
local
ours.
result, even though we're in the SU as a whole.
Yep, we can do that. All right.
The middle school's the middle school, we're the only ones with the middle school, but the elementary one.
And you're looking for this for the 28th?
Yeah, I'm sure those are easy enough to add to that presentation.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, we had to do that data dump, and so we're just
Yeah.
sort it a little differently, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I guess, one of the questions I wondered about was, how great the learning loss was in, lower SES kids.
Yeah, and I think we're using the state uses an N of 11, so if we've got a number lower than 11,
I know,
I know. So if that N is lower than 11, we're not gonna pull them out,
I know.
so.
That's why,
Right,
to the SU as a whole, so
Yeah.
yeah, that would give
you,
us,
it gives you some more information.
thank you for that, Chris, appreciate that. Okay, any other questions? Caitlin, any questions?
I don't think so. I appreciate having access to all this and being able to hear your questions. It's really helpful to me as I get to know the work of the board. So thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Everybody willing to go to director's comments, or do we need any more questions on budget tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay. All right, so let's do director's comments. Bill, I'll let you start.
Welcome to Caitlin. And we look forward to having you here in the flesh.
Me too.
That's it, thank you. Welcome, Caitlin.
Caitlin, any comments?
Just thank you. I appreciate the care that everyone takes in and seeing how you treat all of the items that come up and all of the people who come to speak. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you, and I'm excited to see you all in person. Hopefully at the next one, I think I will actually be able to be in the room.
That'd be nice. Chris?
No, thanks.
Jim?
Yeah, I think I just want to emphasize again that how important it would be for Andy and members of the administrative staff to visit the middle school. I think a lot is on Henry, and which is probably a good thing in some ways, but I'm thinking back again to our tour here, brief tour, and we watched this algebra class, and it was an online class, and there were 5 students in the room. There were 2 that were right in front of the screen. 2 others were over on the very edge of it's a big room, and another one was kind of 4 rows back. So they were all, these 5 kids were spread out. It just seemed to me with an online class, you know, having that teacher be able to see those kids right there, reading their you know, how they're absorbing this. I mean, it didn't look like, I know we were together, and it looked like there was a lot of going on in some kind of a device, gaming device, and you know, I think just having a teacher there that would say, if the teacher doesn't say, let's get all right in front of me here, that somebody from here would say, get yourself right in front of this teacher, because it's hard enough to do it online. And so again, I think that's one little example, but I think, you know, having the intervention during this period of absence would be very helpful. Thank you.
I just appreciate all the members of our staff that are working so hard to provide a very good education for our children. There are challenges every day. Each day in the teaching profession is totally different from the day before and will be totally different from the next day. That's part of the reason teachers, I think, go into that profession, because it is challenging and it is exciting. I'm just hoping that that excitement will build, that our schools will continue to improve and will continue to be able to supply a really good education for our children. As we work on the budget, we want to be sure to provide a good support system of funds and that kind of thing. But we also know that we need to be totally responsible to our taxpayers and keep our costs at a reasonable level. So I just applaud all of our members for working hard for that. I applaud our principals for working on presenting the budget to us as well. And again, I would just encourage everyone to remember to do some kind of kindness for somebody each day. Parents, remember to be kind to the teachers, and teachers to the children, and the children to the teachers as well. With that, our next meeting is set for November 21st at 5:30.
21st?
Yeah, that's 14 days from now, the first Monday and the third Monday.
Someone said 10:28, I wrote that actually
I know,
down.
I picked up on that.
11:21, okay.
It's sometime after Thanksgiving.
Well, it's right before, I think
Is it
it's the
before?
week of, yeah.
Just want to make sure I had the right date.
Yeah, 23rd, just like 24th. I'm hoping that that isn't conflicting with any of the parent conferences that might be scheduled at that time, because that's also parent conferences for our
It is.
elementary children.
Well, it's for here too.
But hopefully, I mean, our
Maybe
principals
we'll
can
get
be,
some folks to come by. Yeah.
you know, and they could come by and see.
Yeah, I don't know how late, actually at the middle school, we talked about it going late, sorry, I know beyond, but, we talked about maybe shifting a little bit so that it would be later in the evening, you know, come in late, you know, not start at 8 o'clock, but shift so that we can get more parents, so. I will keep you abreast of that.
Okay. All right, so I would say if there's no other business, the meeting will be adjourned at 7:39.